Hey guys, welcome to Imminent Threat Solutions and our Knot of the Week in HD. Today we're going to be going through one of my favorite knots that I use all the time when I'm climbing, and that's the Prusik knot. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the first step in tying a Prusik knot is actually to tie a double fisherman's knot. So if you're familiar with that, you're going to wrap across the line here and back through, creating an X. And I'm going to flip the line around and do the same thing on the other side. So I'll cross over the standing part, around, and back through, creating an X pattern in the knot. And what I'm going to do when I have both my fisherman's knots is I'm going to pull the opposite side. As you can see, we're on one piece of line here. Pull those together, and on one side you'll see kind of a barrel knot, or four different lines, and on the other side you'll see what looks like two X's. That's kind of your check to make sure that you've tied this correctly. So once you have the barrel knot on one side, you're going to take the loop of the Prusik, and you're going to, the loop of the static loop that you've created. You're going to go around the line that you're going to be tying onto, just like so. You're going to wrap on the inside. So that's one wrap. I'm going to spread these apart. That's two wraps. And now do the same thing, ensuring that stays on the inside. And that's three wraps. So again, you want to make sure those wraps stay to the inside as you tighten them up. And that's what the Prusik looks like when it's on the line. So you've got your double fisherman's here, which creates your fixed loop, and then it wraps around the line you're tying onto. Okay, once you have your friction hitch tied onto the rope, you can either use this as your visual check to ensure it's tied correctly, or the other side too. I'm a fan of both. I can usually see both different directions to make sure I've got this tied correctly, but you want to make sure that you don't put too many wraps in this. Obviously, the more wraps, the more friction it's going to create when you fall, or you're arrested by the Prusik if you fall. So a good rule of thumb is 3 wraps. That's what we did when we tied this, so that's kind of what I use as my check, is to make sure that I've got 3 wraps in the Prusik. So technically what you want to do is make sure that you have a smaller diameter cordage in relation to your larger line. So if this was a rappel line, I'd want to use a smaller diameter line that was not equal to the larger line. So what I wouldn't want to do is use something like a paracord, because that's way too small, and I would never trust my life to paracord anyway. So that's just a tip there. Make sure you're using a smaller diameter line that's not anything like paracord. All right, so the Prusik is a friction hitch, which is an example of an auto block. So it's going to slide freely during your controlled descent on something like a rappel, but will bind during a fall to stop your descent. So the great thing about a Prusik as well is it's unidirectional. So if I was rappelling down this way and I was controlling the Prusik with my support hand here, and all of a sudden I fell, it would bind just like that. So same goes for the opposite direction. If I was coming down this way, a pull this way is going to bind that as well. So with the traditional ascender that you might use to ascend a rope, they're usually unidirectional. So the stop or the pull or arrest of a ascender would only be one direction. You couldn't do that both directions, because that ascender is going to need to be pushed up as you're going up the rope. So you can ascend with 2 Prusiks, and that's one of the benefits of these as well. But just know that if there's too big of a variation between the diameter of the Prusik and the diameter of your cordage, it can slip. One last thing about a Prusik too is that it's not going to damage the rope versus an ascender or some device like that that can actually bite into the rope. So that's an advantage of the Prusik. And again, to rig this up, while this isn't a demonstration for rappelling, what you do is you'd actually clip in to your harness with a carabiner onto this end of the Prusik, and you might want to change this up a little bit. So if we adjusted this, and all I'm doing is changing the direction here. So basically that barrel knot, or the double fisherman's knot, is not right in the direction of where my carabiner would be. You never want to hook up a carabiner directly on that double fisherman's knot. So that would be hooked up to my harness, and then as I'm rappelling along the line here, I would be controlling the Prusik, either pressing it down like this with my control hand as I'm coming down the rope, and then if anything happened and I fell, it would arrest my fall like this into my harness. So that's just an example of usage on the Prusik knot. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This will be our last knot of the week for 2015. Be sure to check back in 2016 every Tuesday for the knot of the week in HD. Thanks again.